Before we jump in, this excerpt comes from a workshop at the Community Center of La Cañada, Flintridge. The session is Financial Planning for Families with Neurodivergent Children, presented by Annelise. In this third video, we focus on how diagnosis, documentation, and persistence can shape the support your child receives over time.
So I'm a huge advocate for parents. If you suspect anything, trust your gut, because you know the kid, you've been there. Just go talk to your pediatrician as a starting point. We also learned that there are so many different types of very specialized individuals that we need to work with. I think getting a diagnosis is just paramount in requesting for services, because it's hard to, they have so many requests, honestly. They're nonprofits, they're trying the best to try to accommodate a lot of people. So one of the things I always say is make it easy for them. You just give them whatever information that you have. You do some investigation first, and then that really can help push things along. So when it comes to requesting a diagnosis, pediatrician always first to start. They can refer you to different specialists. And I think that's important because a pediatrician, they're usually general, very general. So one of the things that we started working with is what we call a developmental pediatrician, which is also subspecialty field within pediatrics. And that has been very, very useful for us in terms of understanding, because they also have different resources. That's the other thing. Of like, maybe they can recommend schools, they can recommend activities, they can recommend organizations that can give you services. So developmental pediatrician, usually you probably need to get a referral from your general pediatrician to go there. Funding for this part usually just come from private insurance, or if you have a public insurance like Medi-Cal, then that's just the part where that's how they get paid for. And then step 2, on page 8 of the slide, is once you have a medical diagnosis, anytime you're dealing with any agencies, always do it in writing. Like, writing is really important because you need to be able to track. And the reason why is because both regional center and school district, they have specific period of time where they need to respond to your request. So if you send in a request and you don't hear back from them, you have the paperwork, you have the email, you can say, hey, I requested this 15 days ago. And the allowable time for you to respond is 15 days. So this is really crucial. Like I said, they have so many requests, and it's easy to slip.
You do this all by email generally?
Yes, yeah, you can do email, and a lot of times what you can do is, like, you can also fill out forms on the websites. There are, usually you can either do a phone call, or you can fill a form on the website. And usually your pediatrician should be the one who's helping you do the referral. When my child was 2, what happened was when he left at 3, he did not have a qualifying diagnosis. So what happens was if you were in regional center before the age of 3 and you don't qualify, then you get transferred to the school district, even though your child is not going to school at that school district, but it goes to where you live. So you have an IEP, right? And then you start, now you're working with the school district, which also have their different set of rules, a different period. So you can also do your request for assessments, and school district is even more stricter timeline because they have to involve a lot more people. Once that happens, you can usually do annual meeting. You can disagree with the report. You can just appeal. If you feel very, very strongly, I would get an advocate. Sometimes it's somebody who's just specialized in doing this. A lot of times it's an attorney. Or a slightly different route is to go with what we call a navigator. These are people who knows these rules and ins and outs very, very well. And a lot of times it's the cost too. An attorney, of course, would be much, much more expensive than, say, getting an advocate or a navigator.
I will say that My regional center case manager acts as my advocate. It's part of the regional center.
Oh,
And he actually goes to the IEP meetings with me.
Oh, okay, yes. Some of the service coordinator will go to the meetings with you.
Yeah.
And, you can bring anyone to these IEP meetings.
And you can request it to be videoed too, so that
Yes.
you can pass it to an advocate later.
Yes, this applies to all districts.
Yeah.
Yeah, you just need to give them 24-hour notice if you want to record it. And again, everything that I do it in writing. Even if I have a phone call with them, I will send them a follow-up email and say, hey, as per our discussion, this is what we discussed. Say, I'll call you back in a week, or, just make sure that they know that you are on top of this. They have so many cases. Like we have been with Regional Center this second round for like 2 or 3 years.
Yeah.
Like we're on our 4th service coordinator. Yeah, it's,
If you get a good one, they'll go. Yeah, it's
Yeah.
hard. When
Yeah.
you find a good one, it's really.
It's really hard, yes. So you really have to, and that's one of the things that I always remind myself, and I remind, parents I talk to, is understand the limitations. And that can set your mindset and your expectations, and it can really help you through this process.
Yeah.
Yeah, you have to learn how things,
Yeah.
and, like we have had requests where we request to meet with the manager, to be present at the meeting. This is also within, and I think sometimes I just copy the manager too on emails. We've had like not so good, service coordinators. I mean, it's just varied, right? Some are really good, and it's just with luck, you don't get to choose. They just assign, yeah. And so it just really depends. So that's when knowing is really, really important. I always say that, like, guardian parents, you are always their best and most important advocate, but sometimes you just cannot know everything. So then that's when we hire people to help us. But for ourselves, we still need to know what questions to ask, right? So,
Can I know the difference between an advocate and a navigator?
yeah, so an advocate, it could be like an attorney, or sometimes an advocate is somebody who's specially trained. A navigator is more like, maybe like a coach, right? They know a lot, but what they do is maybe they can tell you how to process. Like, okay, if this is the path that is not going to work, well, let's look at another way. And that's kind of something I learned is there's just always different ways to do things. You have to be creative. But you have to be creative with knowledge. Like, you have to know how to be creative.
Yeah.
And I think that's the part that is tricky. So the IEP meeting is the individual education program. That's with the school district. And then we have IPP meeting, which is the individual person plan. That is with the regional center. So after they meet with you, they evaluate, and then they say, oh, okay, you have a qualifying diagnosis. These are the services that we'll provide for you, that we're willing to pay for. You're gonna have a meeting. These are all legal documents. Once you sign them, you can change them, but it's gonna take time, because then you gotta do an amendment, you gotta request for different things. Read through them. If you need to hire somebody to help you read through them, do that. I think, especially for the IEP, you do meet annually, but the assessment itself or the plan is a 3 years triennial thing, right? It's once every 3 years. Sometimes you might want to kind of time it. There's also a 504 plan, which is a mini version of an IEP, if you think about it. Those are, and then there's also what they call student support team, and that is not a legal document. That is just the school providing you support. Because I have a psychologist who specializes in this, we work with her, and she said that one of the things is, anytime, let's say if your child needs to request for additional time in high school, a lot of people are requesting for time, and a lot of people have different diagnoses. And what they want to see is, do you have a history? Right? So start early, right? Then they'll see that, there's a history that they have been requesting this. 504 versus student support team, a lot of times the goals or the accommodations are very similar. But 504 plan is a legal document. the school district must follow, as opposed to student support team.
504s are one-year plans.
Yes, those are one-year plans, and they're kind of like mini IEPs, right? IEP is much more rigor in terms of the way that they assess and the report.
Yeah.
So it depends on the support that your child needs, right? Like, I have a kiddo who just needs a 504 plan, doing fine, right? And then I have another one who needs a full-blown IDP. So, yes, it's either or, yes, because if you suspect your child needs additional support, let's say if no one else sees it, only you, okay? Write an email, title, subject title, request for IEP assessment. Okay, that triggers the time period where they have a certain time period to respond to you. Once they respond to you, then there's a certain time period, within that period, they have to do the assessment. And then there is a certain time period where services have to start, you guys have to meet. You are supposed to be, as a parent or guardian, a part of the IDP team. You are just as important as the psychologist, as the teacher, as the school district. So you go in strong, because you're part of that whole IEP process.
This video is part of a larger workshop that walks through the full planning process for families with neurodivergent children. In the next videos, we'll go deeper into specific topics, like how public benefits and funding work, what changes before and after age 18, and how tools like ABLE accounts and special needs trusts fit into a long-term plan. We'll also talk about planning for employment, housing, healthcare, and how to support your child into adulthood. If you'd like to follow along as we go deeper into these topics, you can subscribe and stay connected with our upcoming videos. And as always, this content is for educational purposes only.